Is it all right to choke a girl if that's what she wants? Okay. This is a good question. I know this is a weird question to ask. And I think my answer on this is going to surprise a lot of you because this is something that I think that a lot of men need to deal with. You need to understand this. And I'm going to give you the best explanation of this that I can so you can understand a little bit about the psychology involved in this and why I think it's not a good idea and it's not something that is healthy for either you or for her. So, this came from a comment on one of my videos. This comment, he said here, great vid. How is choking a girl a bad thing if she's into it? Most girls are, hence popularity of 50 Shades, etc. So this is an excellent point, and this is probably true, right? In my experience, I have had some experience in this area. I have found that a lot of women do want to be choked or sometimes smacked and definitely degraded, right? It's pretty common. In fact, if you were to listen to a sex expert on what you should do in bed, they're going to say a lot of these things. They're going to say a lot of things that are similar to what in a normal context you would consider to be abusive behavior. All right. So I want to kind of break this down and I want to give you a real assessment of why I've actually changed my view on this. In fact, if you go into my Bulldog Mindset membership, you can look in there and you can see that I have a video on how to be a beast in the bedroom. And I haven't watched it in a while, but I'm pretty sure that in that video I talked about some of these things, especially dirty talk and how to kind of be that dominant guy that in some of these things that now I would say are not really the best behaviors. And I'll tell you exactly why this is, right? So first of all, let's address what's going on here. Now, like, is it true that women like these things? In general, it is true. All right. It is true generally that women would like to be choked or spanked or to be made to feel like they're lesser or worthless or humiliated. Like, these are things that are kinks that do turn a lot of women on, a lot more women than would care to admit it. All right. Now, the problem with this is that it's not a healthy expression of sexuality, okay? It is coming from a natural biological instinct. So why would a woman want to be choked? Why would a woman want to be smacked? Or why would she want you to call her names or, to call her your dirty slut or things like that? Why would she want to be degraded by a man? All right. It's a good question. All right. And here's where it comes from, right? So biologically, right, if we look at the masculine and the feminine, men and women, right, women in general, the feminine wants to be dominated, right? She wants to feel the force, the power of the masculine. This is normal. It's natural. There's nothing wrong with this, right? That's why a lot of these things are popular. If you look at sort of this, if you're at all familiar with BDSM culture and the idea of it, you have a dominant and a submissive, right? And generally, right, in most relationships or most situations, the woman is going to be the one who is submissive. Now, there are some flips of this. I also don't think that is very healthy in most cases. There's usually something that's going on there, but let's just assume the normal, right? So a woman would want to be submissive, or the feminine wants to be submissive. She wants to feel the force of a man. She wants to feel his power. She wants to be able to let go and to not have to control herself or situation. She wants to be free, right? Women are seeking freedom in that way, right? That is what the feminine wants to do, and she wants to feel that power and that force of a man. She wants him to give the leadership and the direction so that she can just relax in her feminine. Because remember, the masculine is a driving force, all right? The masculine is all about getting things done, taking charge. It's logical, it's analytical, and most women have to be to some degree in their masculine in order to survive in this world, especially when they're single, because it's a masculine world, right? Going to work, paying bills, doing those things are all sort of masculine behaviors, and they require that masculine energy. So a woman doesn't really get to tap into her feminine energy unless she's with a masculine man that can take care of those things. And so in the bedroom, a woman naturally wants to feel that masculine presence that is attractive to her. It is what turns her on. And she wants to feel like she is safe, right? And so it's kind of weird when you think about this, how it's almost the opposite, right? When someone is being abusive to you and hitting you and calling you names, you would think that would make you not feel safe. Well, what it is it's a perversion of a natural desire, right? So even though the feminine wants to feel these things, many times the context of it is not socially acceptable, right? So today, it is not really socially acceptable for a woman to say that she wants a man to dominate her, right? Or that she wants a man to lead her, that she wants a man to be more powerful than her and to overpower her, right? If you were to say those things, they have a negative connotation to them. It seems weak, it seems submissive, it seems like it is sexist, right? And quote, the patriarchy. That's what those things seem. So society sort of frowns upon those things. Women are sort of trained to say, no, those things are bad, right? Even if they might have these natural instincts to feel these things, they have to suppress these things, right? Especially feminist women. And if you'll notice that a lot of feminist women, that the more feminist they are, the more that they actually want to be degraded and abused in bed. It is true. Okay. Now, it's not all women, and it's not in all cases, but because these natural instincts are being suppressed, many times a woman will express those things in this unnatural way, right? So it's really weird where we are in society, or how this functions, but to some degree, it is more acceptable for a woman to say that she likes to be choked or slapped or spit on, okay, than it is to say that she wants a man to dominate her and to be. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. To submit to him, right? That she wants him to be a leader as she looks up to him, right? She wants him to be the powerful force and decision maker. It's more easy for a woman to say that she'd rather be choked, and the reason why is because it can just be seen as, this is my sexual preference, right? In fact, that's how it's marketed. Is, okay, this is my sexual preference. This is what I like, and this is only in the bedroom, right? Which again, these dynamics cannot exist only in the bedroom, right? There's something wrong when your entire personality or what you want changes in a sexual context, but in an actual relationship that doesn't exist, right? And that's where this is sort of unhealthy. In addition to this, right? So if we talk about why women want this, I think you can kind of understand this, right? And hopefully I'm explaining this well enough. If you look at, for example, 50 Shades of Grey, all right? Let's just kind of dissect that book. I've read through that book. All right. It's interesting because the book isn't very well written. Okay. And it's not just about being spanked, and it's not truly just about BDSM. What is truly about, what appeals to women in that book, is the sense of this man that is extremely powerful, right? He's this billionaire, and he takes charge. He tells her what to do. He becomes responsible for her pleasure, right? And she can let go. She doesn't have to worry about her own pleasure or what's going on. She can just let go and just give in to him. That's the thing that is attracting women to this story. Yeah, there's a sexual component to this, but the main thing that makes this such an attractive thing to women, especially a lot of feminist women, is that they truly want to let go. They truly want to have a man that they can trust, that is taking charge. Now, again, when you look at how it is happening in this book, it's not extremely extreme, but there are some elements of it that are not healthy, right? And again, this comes from this unhealthy psychology. You have to understand this too. Most women are fucked up, okay? They're fucked up in the head, right? And again, I'm not saying this to pick on women at all, right? I'm just saying that most people in this society are fucked up in the head, right? They're not psychologically right, okay? They probably need a lot of therapy, all right? And unfortunately, a lot of therapists also don't really understand human psychology. They don't understand the masculine and the feminine, and so they encourage these bad behaviors, these things that are not good. Just everything that you want, everything that you desire is not necessarily good for you And just because you want something doesn't mean it's good because it's your preference, right? You have to have some reason. You have to have someone who has some wisdom to tell you, look, there's some kind of issue here as to why you want to be abused in the bedroom, right? And that's literally what it is. And so I kind of want to make sure that you guys understand this before I talk about your role in this, because you do have a role in this as a man, as a leader. But if you can sort of understand the psychology, then you can look at it as every time that you see a woman that is wanting to be choked or slapped or spit on, all right, that it's some kind of trauma. Like there's something wrong with her that she wants those things. And again, I know this is going to sound really bad, and if you're watching and you feel this way and you think that I'm saying there's something wrong with you and you're a bad person, I'm not saying you're a bad person. All right, if this is you, but what I am saying is there is some kind of psychological trauma. There's something that is wrong that needs to be fixed, because this is not a healthy way to get those desires met, right? And what humans will do is that when they have a desire, okay, they will try to meet that desire in any way possible. And you can see that there are negative and positive ways of meeting that desire. There's natural desires that we have, right? For example, let's say that you're hungry, all right? A good and positive way to meet that desire of hunger is to eat good, healthy food. That's good for you, right? An unhealthy way to meet that same desire, which often is more appealing because it's easier, is to eat a bunch of sugar and junk food. That's not going to be good for you, right? If you have a desire for pleasure, okay, which we do for happiness, right? A lot of people will turn to hard narcotics and drugs for that instead of doing work or doing things that would bring about that pleasure in a more productive way, right? So it's a shortcut to that desire. There are many ways in which we try to get a desire met that, especially if we don't have access to the better way of getting the desire met, that we will shortcut in there for guys, right? Simple one, sexual desire, right? You know this, right? How do you often get that desire met if you're addicted to porn on the internet, right? You look at pornography instead of actually having that met in a woman or with a woman, right? And instead you're taking a shortcut to that. And do you feel good about those things, right? Are those healthy things? No, those are not healthy things, right? So you have to understand what's happening here is that because a lot of women are psychologically messed up through society, through conditioning, through abuse that they have gone through and traumas that they've gone through. Especially, again, we can get into kind of the daddy issues here because a lot of it does stem from that. Not trying to use an old cliche of this and trivialize this, but a lot of it does come from that. A lot of it comes from that and seeking validation from men, and then not feeling good enough, right? If a woman has a very low self-worth, okay, and this is kind of the root of it, she's going to get some kind of sexual satisfaction from a man reinforcing that low self-worth. And why would that be? Like, why would that make a woman happy? Why would she want that, right? The main reason why is because if I am feeling worthless, if I feel bad about myself and I'm not in control of that situation, right? If different people have abused me in some way, right? I've been in abusive relationships. I've been in situations where I have felt degraded and not in control of that situation. It makes me feel powerless. I can gain some degree of power by being in a sexual relationship with someone and wanting them to do that, by telling them, I want you to choke me, I want you to degrade me, to call me names, to do that thing. It gives that person a sense of power because now they're in control of that thing, right? It's really weird how people are attracted to the very thing that has damaged them. And so this kind of bridges the gap to you as a man, right? Why is this a bad thing? Because you're damaging a person, all right? Even if a woman says that she wants these things, there's something wrong with her that she wants these things. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about, a little spanking or something like that, or a little bit of role play. That's different, okay? That's way different. There's a huge difference between spanking someone, right? Again, we're being frank on this channel here, right? And a little bit of just kind of role play type of thing versus smacking someone in the face, spitting in their face, choking them, all the things, right? Again, a little hair pulling, like that's showing a little bit of dominance. Again, that's not a big deal. That's not abuse. That's, if you're grabbing someone's head and like calling them a slut, that's a different thing. Okay, so just to be clear about this, and I'm trying to be as as forthcoming and frank, because this isn't, for a lot of people, I would say this is kind of an embarrassing subject. It shouldn't be, right? These are things that we should openly talk about and discuss these things, because it's really important to understand these things. So just so you got the context there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things that are actually degrading and humiliating, regardless if they're consensual. Okay, consent doesn't mean anything in this case, right? Just because something is consented to or even desired does not make it good, right? So, for example, someone might be like, "Hey, I would really like it if you if you punched me in the face or if you stabbed me with a knife." You would not do that just because someone wanted you to do that, because you would know it would be harmful to them, right? And so if you're psychologically abusing someone or even physically abusing someone, even if the physical abuse is not one that's going to cause major damage, it's still psychological damage. You're still the one who's perpetrating that, right? And why would you do that? Okay. Now, yes, there are some guys that have a desire to be dominant in that violent kind of way. I understand that. I can't relate to that because, the times that I have moved in that direction have been because that's what she wanted me to do. And I felt uncomfortable doing those things. But I was like, okay, well, I can do this because this is what is desired. But honestly, when I really think about it, the reason why I would do that and why probably you would do that has nothing to do with what you want. It has everything to do with external validation. Right. So let me explain what's happening here. Right. So in this case, what you're doing is you're doing something that you don't necessarily want to do or necessarily agree with in order to get validation because that's what she wants. And again, don't get this confused. It is important to listen to what a woman wants and what her desires are, but you as a man have to determine whether those desires are healthy desires or not, especially in a relationship as the leader, right? So for example, if your girlfriend or wife wanted to do heroin, okay, you probably would not be like, oh, sure, yeah, it's your desire. Let's go ahead and do that. If she wanted to do something that was completely destructive to her, you would probably want to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm not going to help you to do something that's going to harm you, right? And so I don't understand why a lot of guys don't get this in the bedroom, right? Because you're doing that when you're doing these actions, right? So you really have to think about it in terms of, you're the leader, okay? You know what is best. As a man, you should be taking the leadership role. I've done plenty of videos on this, and it is a difficult thing to take up as a man, especially when you have resistance to it. But if a woman wants you to do something to her that you know is not healthy, is not psychologically healthy, then you should not do that thing. Okay, because you are encouraging that behavior and you're causing more damage and you're causing more harm. You're supposed to be a leader leading her into positive sexuality, not a negative sexuality. And yeah, you might say, well, that's what she's really into, and she would look for that somewhere else, and and I can understand that. Believe me, I can understand that. But what she's really looking for, you can still provide in a different way, right? So think about it again. Like I said, if a woman is saying that she wants to be choked, what is she really asking for, right? She's not, she might think that being choked is the thing that's going to make her feel good, and in some way, it will fulfill that desire at a lower level. But what she's really, really asking you to do is to display some force, is to overpower her in some way, okay? Is to show her your masculine power, all right? To be decisive, to be dominant. She wants to feel your presence. She wants to feel your dominance, okay? So you can do that in other ways that are not abusive and are not degrading. Again, the same thing with calling names, and right. Many times a woman wants to feel possessed by the man. So saying "you're mine" is fine. That makes sense. That's something that would be a healthy way of expressing that, as opposed to calling her a slut or or degrading her in some way. I'm not going to use all the language here, but you understand what that language would be. You can use other language that indicates that she should listen to what you say, right? You can give commands. You can do things that are dominant. You can tell her what to do. You can tell her what you like, right? But you can do it in a positive way that builds her esteem and builds her value rather than reduces it. All right. And that's what this really comes down to, right? Is that, again, you have to understand psychologically that women that are wanting these things, they have a low esteem of themselves. Okay. They have any person that would allow themselves to be degraded has a low esteem of themselves. Right. And so they have this weird thing where they are trying to get more of that abuse to kind of confirm what they already know about themselves. In some way, it makes them feel good. Just like when you're sad and you listen to sad songs, you kind of feel better by being more sad. It's a very similar type of thing, but it's not a healthy thing for you either, right? Dwelling in your sadness, dwelling in the bad is not a healthy way to process your emotions or to process the things that you're dealing with in life. And so don't participate in this. Don't be a guy that just is a people pleaser and just does whatever a woman wants just because she wants that thing, right? Instead, you have to really rise above this, right? As a man, you should be figuring out, okay, what do all women really want? Yeah, they do want in the bedroom to be dominated by a man. They do. That is generally what turns women on. And, even some people disagree with that, but then they're like, oh, but choking and slapping and calling names is just a kink. You can't have one without the other. You cannot say that those things aren't coming from a sense of wanting to feel dominated. Okay, so a woman does want to feel those things. She wants to feel your power. She wants to feel your masculine presence. She wants you to take charge and to take control, especially in the bedroom, so that she can be free and that she does actually feel the safety of knowing that you are the one taking the reins. You are in control, right? A lot of women are afraid to give up control, but they want you to take control. And so they're going to fight you on it. In fact, that is where a lot of, again, these extreme behaviors come from, right? Because it's an extreme taking of control. It's against a person's will type of taking of control, right? It's a very violent way of taking control. And so if a woman can't allow a man to take control in her normal life and in a healthy way, then that suppressed desire comes out in a different way, which becomes a destructive and violent way, which is not good. It's not good for you, and it's not good for her. And it's psychological damage for both of you, right? If you choke a girl and you slap a girl and you hit a girl and you call her names, that also damages you, right? Because is that how you want to treat a woman? And you could say, oh, well, this is just in the bedroom. But that doesn't fly. That in no other area of life do we say, oh, okay, it's just in this context, because that doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any logical sense. Instead, your whole relationship with a woman should be the same. You should, and this is where things get twisted as well, right? You've seen some of my videos where I'm talking about leadership and being a man and being the captain of the ship, right? Many times women are resistant to having a man be a leader in her life. And because of that, they compartmentalize it to the bedroom where it becomes actually abusive behavior. All right. Whereas the whole integrated self, right, would be a relationship where the man is the leader, both in the bedroom and outside of the bedroom, right? But he's leading in a way that's positive, not in a way that's abusive or negative. So I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with this, and you're welcome to disagree with it, but tell me, right? Like, think about this. Is there really something positive that's coming from choking someone, slapping someone, spitting in their face, humiliating them, degrading them? Is there really something positive that you can attribute to that, right? You could think that it's just innocent and it doesn't affect anyone, and that's fine. But is there any positive to that? As opposed to what I'm saying, if you're leading in a positive way, right? If you're building up a woman's esteem, making her feel better about herself, making her feel good about herself, right? Maybe at first she's not as turned on by that. Fine, I get that. But you're helping her to understand that those needs that she has, those desires that she has to be dominated by a man and to feel the physical presence and masculine energy, that those can be fulfilled in a better way. And as you show her and teach her those things, which you should be doing as a leader, as a man, she will start to adopt that, and she will start to see that that is actually the positive expression of what she wants. So anyway, I hope these videos are helpful to you. And like I said, this is something that comes from a lot of thought, right? I was on the wrong side of this for some time, and I really had to think about this. I really had to think about, for me personally, I didn't feel comfortable with these things. Okay. And again, I don't come from any kind of theological background. I'm not coming at you from any kind of moral type of background. This is more of just common sense and practicality. And that's what I always try to teach you, is because it doesn't matter if I tell you something, oh, this is wrong or this is bad. It's not about that. It's about damage. It's about harm, right? And like I said, I've thought a lot about this subject, and I have talked to a lot of guys. I have coached a lot of guys, and I've dealt with a lot of different relationships, and I have never seen positive come out of an abusive type of situation. And this truly is abuse, right? We have somehow overlooked this, and through the liberation of sexuality and liberation of women, we've said, okay, yeah, all of these things are fine because women want these things. But we're sort of abdicating. We're abdicating our leadership and our power when we're just agreeing with these things, right? That you probably don't really actually, if you really examine yourself, don't feel okay with it. And I'll say one more thing about this. If this is something that you want to do, there's something wrong with you, right? Like, you really have to think about this. And again, I'm not saying this to be a jerk, okay? I love you. I'm trying to help you, man. But think about what that means about you. If you want to hit a woman and smack her and treat her in a way that is humiliating her, degrading her, right? Even if it's just for fun in the bedroom. But if you have those desires, it's an expression of a natural desire that you have in an unhealthy way as well. So that indicates some kind of trauma or some kind of thing that you need to deal with. Why would you want to demonstrate your masculinity in that way, right? What has influenced you to make you think that? Now, my theory is that most guys don't want to do these things. that is what my theory is. And a guy that does. The other thing about this is you have to think about this also from a woman's perspective, right? A guy that does want to do these things is not a guy that a woman should probably trust or should probably have lead her, right? Because there's something wrong there. It's indicating something that is psychologically deficient in that man, and that's a warning sign there. So anyway, like I said, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. I'm open to discussion if you have some other ideas on this. But as far as I have researched and really tested these theories, what I'm saying, I believe is the correct thing. That's the most beneficial for your relationship and for your own psychology and for her psychology. You should not harm people, for your benefit or for what you perceive as their benefit, right? It is not benefiting someone by harming them. If you'd like some help with issues like this, or just with life coaching and things like that, you can email me at john@bulldogmindset.com. You can also ask me any kind of questions that you have, and I'll do some videos on whatever topics that you guys have questions about. And make sure that you go through and check out the playlist that I'll have up here. You can watch the daily videos that I do every single day, and I will see you tomorrow.